26th for the Salina League of Women Voters. And I will say in advance that the February Lunch and Learn is our new superintendent with USD 305, Heath Hogan. That's on February 10th. And then on March 10th, we have an update on the River Project with Jane Anderson from Friends of the River.
Will it be here?
It will, yes. The one for March is not reserved yet because it's too soon to reserve it, or it was 5 days ago. But that's the plan. It's definitely here in February. And we also have a forum on February 3rd out at Salina Tech for the vote on repealing the pit bull ban in Salina. We don't have a sure thing of who's speaking, but we're going to try and have speakers on each side of the issue. So if you live in Salina and you get to vote on that, February 3rd would be a good time for you to
What time?
learn about it. I think it's 6 o'clock. Yeah, we'll be sending out more information about that. But today, we have the Dean and CEO of Salina, K-State Salina. And Alysia Starkey, Dr. Alysia Starkey, she grew up in Colby. And she got her degree in psychology from Fort Hays State University. I love these stories. You hear the stories of the people who planned to be something and they went to college for it and they went and did it and made a career out of it. But most of us go something like this on our career path. And so Dr. Starkey went from Colby to Fort Hays State in psychology. Then at some point she got a master's in library science at North Texas University, which I think is in Denton.
It is.
Yes. And from there she got a job in the library at K-State Salina. And from there she just began becoming in charge of things. The library, and then the department, and then other departments, and then she was finally made dean and CEO. And just in October, she was inducted into the Kansas Aviation Hall of Fame. So we're asking her to update us on K-State Salina. Welcome, Dean Starkey.
Thank you. Yeah, my journey has been anything but typical. I never thought that this was a job and a role I would be in, and actually I have an associate's degree in social work too. So it was very much a geared towards a helping profession, but I feel like education and where I've landed is very much a helping profession as well too. I did land at the university here in Salina about 24 years ago is when I started. And so over that time I have supervised every unit on campus and others, but I haven't left because I fell in love with the campus and I fell in love with the people. It's a unique educational institution, and I don't know that a lot of different people understand what our campus is. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the history as well as some of the who we are and who we serve. But also Anne specifically had asked to learn a little bit more about some of our unusual partnerships and some of the companies that we're helping to bring to Salina as part of our educational mission as well too. So along the way, please feel free to stop me and ask for questions. I'm sitting just because it's a little easier to be able to navigate the computer down here. There are some videos if we have some time to play as well too, but otherwise we'll just talk about what's going on out there, because we get to have a lot of fun on our campus as we work with our students. Most of the people understand and remember us from the Schilling Air Force Base if you've been in Salina for a long time. The campus was granted to the city of Salina when the Schilling Air Force Base closed in 1967. And at that time, the Air Force gave the land to the community, but they expressed that it needed to be used for the purposes of aviation and engineering, because that's what Schilling Air Force Base was known for during the time that it was here. So in this land gift they gave to the city, they created the Salina Industrial Airport Center. So part of it is what is now known as the airport, which is one of our major partners for our institution. But the other part came to us, as well as Salina Area Tech. So our campus was formed after that particular donation of land from the institution. We have gone through several different name changes over the last 60 years. We just celebrated our 60th anniversary as a campus, which was pretty outstanding to believe that aspect, because it feels like it was just yesterday that our campus was formed. But when it first was donated to the Salina community, we were actually a 2-year technical institute. So we were a 2-year college for probably about 20, maybe 30 years in our history. At that time, we went through 3 different name changes. It started as Schilling Institute, and then we went to Kansas Technical Institute, and then Kansas College of Technology. And that was all due to a portion of who was the governing body over the campus at that particular time. So it started as kind of being an independent organization, and then it came under the Kansas Department of Education, and then it became under Kansas Board of Regents. And then in 1991, the state legislature was going through a process in which there's these hills and valleys in education as you go through things, but they went through they were in one of the, I'll say valleys, but then it turned into a hill as well too, in which they said all 2-year technical institutes either had to merge with a college or become a standalone institution. And at that particular point in time, it was difficult, I think, financially for the institution to be able to become standalone. And so Kansas State University at the time came in and said, we'll merge with the college, and took us in as part of their network. So we became a 4-year campus in 1991, and that's when we merged with Kansas State University. So ever since that time, we've had a couple of different venues there. We became known as K-State Salina. We had a small detour for about 4 years where we were known as Kansas State University Polytechnic. And our alumni and our community and our business supporters did not like that. And so we had promised them when we made that name change that we would come back after 5 years, explore how it was going. About 89% of our respondents who responded to us at that time said change it back, so we changed it back to K-State Salina. And that's what we intend to be known from here forth, is not to have another name change. That is our goal, because it's been a long journey. So at that time when we changed our name back, we had the Salina community came together as a whole to kind of look at what is the role and the mission of this campus, and how can we use this really kind of to help drive the workforce development in the state, and in the community of Salina. So the city of Salina, the Salina Area Chamber of Commerce, the county, Saline County, and the Saline County Economic Development Organization all paid some dollars to be able to have an independent organization come in to say what should the future of this campus in Salina be, and what is the best impact that it can have on the state of Kansas. And collectively, that's what kind of drove the need for our campus to kind of refocus on our mission. We had kind of started adding multiple different programs into the campus, but really kind of that study came back and said you need to be an aviation campus first, focus on high-tech industries and those aspects and the enabling technologies that support that industry, and then also focus on areas such as public safety and how can aviation help support those mechanisms, as well as in simulation and all of the other areas. So we really looked at Wichita State and KU to see what are they doing for the state and what are the gaps that Kansas State University can fill. You have a question?
You could tell.
Yeah, I could.
There's pilot training here. Is it connected to K-State University?
It absolutely is, yeah. Pilot training it's probably our largest enrolled programs. And it's what we're mostly known for, because if you drive down the interstate, you look over and you see those hangars over there, yes. It's pretty big. So we're pretty much known mainly for manned aviation, and as part of this restructuring that we've been doing over the last 3 to 4 years, we're rebuilding the rest of our educational portfolio around what does the aerospace industry need. The aerospace industry is one of Kansas's main workforce drivers, and it's one of Commerce's main functions right now to focus on business recruitment. So we've been rebuilding our academic portfolio around the aviation industry in particular.
What's been the history of the aviation, the planes, where they go, where they fly to? I'm always wanted to be able to get a plane here instead of going to Wichita.
Oh, at the airport?
Yeah. We're, yeah.
Yeah, so the airport, right now, they have an airline partner called SkyWest that you can purchase through flysalina.com. You can purchase your airline ticket there. They fly for United, is the different airports that they fly to. So right now, there's routes to Denver, there's routes to Chicago, and they just added a route to Houston.
So just those 3 states that they fly to.
That's where you can get to, and then you can connect to other different airlines as well as other different communities from that aspect of stuff. Yeah, so it really can get you anywhere in the world. From there, you can get to any other port. From Denver, Chicago, or Houston can get you to any portion of the United States, really within probably an 8-hour time frame.
And why is it just United being the only?
There is a long legislative process in which communities have to go through in order to get what they call airline service for particular communities, particularly for the community of size that Salina is. Smaller airlines will come in and bid on packages for who gets to service the various different, the smaller airports like Salina Community. And it's a long bidding process, and then the community and the city and other people make the decision for which airline can come in here based upon the incentives and the services that are in the different packages that airlines submit for. So currently SkyWest is the regional airline provider for the community of Salina. That usually comes up to bid every 5 years, and so that could change, but right now it is SkyWest. So after that study that the community did, they helped set our mission, and our mission is to become the most technologically advanced training of aerospace, and advanced manufacturing is really where we're focused in that particular area. So I'm going to talk about really kind of the 3 key areas in which we are moving forward to become that technologically advanced institution. And it's really kind of looking and focused on where is industry heading, not just the aviation industry, but where is manufacturing, because those are 2 main components that we work for on our campus currently. So the one thing that I will say, when we look at aviation training, which is what we are most known for, there is no other location in the United States that is better than us at flight training. And by that I mean not just the campus, I mean the location of Salina, Kansas. And a lot of times we hear about Wichita being the air capital of the world. And the interesting part about how that whole thing got started is that was just at a Rotary lunch one day, somebody mentioned this moniker and it has stuck. And so one of the things we're working really hard as a community is try to re-educate folks that aviation is much more than just Wichita. And if you look at some of the flight activity, and you may hear it as you're sitting at home and some of the other aspects of stuff, you may hear it that the Salina Airport does in some of the military training as well as some of the competitions that they do here. This is one of the best flight testing and flight operation facilities ever. Why? Because of the dual parallel runways that are a remnant of Schilling Air Force Base. We're one of the only locations in the United States that has those 2 12,000 long runways that are parallel to each other. That means any type of aircraft can land here and take off here because the concrete is very, very thick and it can handle a lot of weight. The other aspect when you're talking about flight training and educating 16-year-old to 22-year-old to, pardon, military individuals how to fly a plane is the fact that we have all kinds of weather here. And so if you're learning how to teach pilots how to be airline pilots and other aspects of stuff, you really want them to be able to train in environments that are real, and we can do that at any point in time here. And it's very, very difficult to find. Sometimes in one day you can go through wind and rain and sleet and everything else. It really kind of is the best flight training environment anywhere in the United States, and we're really proud of that here. So because of that, we really are a destination campus. Our students who come here, they're not exploring what they want to do. So we're not like Kansas State University Manhattan or some of the other universities where people go and they kind of take a few different classes and figure out what they want. If they come here, they know exactly what they want to do. They're a very, very focused type of student. and they really kind of just put their heads down and get where they need to go. That's what makes our campus very, very unique when you're talking about a collegiate experience. We don't have athletics. We don't have, some of the other aspects that make for kind of a rich student life experience. So we have to make up those components of community for the students who do come to Salina. But they are a very, very focused group of students, very driven, and they know where they're going to go, and they're just really eager to get there.
What's the average number of students?
So we are a small campus because of what we do. We are sitting right around 1,000 students right now. And we have some goals to probably get up to maybe 1,500 at some point. But when we do that, you'll see this in some of our programmings that we're putting together. We're trying to create a very intentional experience on our campus. Every student who comes in our programs that we deliver on our campus, we want them to have a different type of experience that you can get anywhere else. And so our students really are kind of embedded in industry. And in the flight training experience, they go through the first 2 years and then they're a flight instructor. And so a lot of our students are learning how to fly an aircraft from other students. But that is giving them industry embedded experience at that particular time as well too. And so we're really working with the community right now to recruit businesses to Salina who want to embed our students in them. And then we've got some examples of other companies in Salina who are doing the exact same thing for us as well too. So if you get too big, then the intentionality behind the student experience gets really, really difficult to manage. But it's really important for us to do education different. And that's one thing that our campus in bringing some of these intentional partners is trying to do, is how can we reinvent what higher education means? Because this generation of student who is coming out doesn't learn in the same way that we all learned. And if we can't figure out a way to adjust education in a way that means something for them and that they want to do, I don't really know where we're going to be able to find some professionals who help drive society, because 40% of high school students right now coming out of high school want to be a social media influencer. And they can do so, and they can be very lucrative at it. It's just a different type of it's a different type of generation, but it has a lot of different societal impacts. So I talked a little bit about who we are, but I don't know if you've been out to see our campus. This is an existing campus map of what campus looks like today. Over the next 3 years, campus will completely transform. We've been very, very fortunate because of our focus in this particular area. We've had, over the last 4 years, we've had about $160 million worth of investment into campus, not only from the state of Kansas, but also the federal government as well too. And that's because once we zeroed in on this particular focus, these are industries that are in high need in the state of Kansas, but they're also high need for the United States of America. And so there's a lot of investment being done right now in these particular areas that we're focused on. And so it's completely going to transform campus. So this is what it looks like right now. If you've been out in that area, you'll see this is kind of the main entrance to campus right now. We're taking everything that was on this side and pushing it further south. If you've been on your campus, it doesn't necessarily feel like a college campus, and it's because it is so spread out. And it feels like it's in the middle of a pasture. And when we're recruiting students, facilities are one of the main things that students look at right now. And so we're creating this type of traditional campus quad experience down here with our academic functions over here. And then this part of campus, because it is a state-owned land, is under development right now to maybe become the future home of the Kansas Highway Patrol. So the Highway Patrol, you may know, is currently out at Marymount College. There's a lot of deferred maintenance that needs to go out there, and our Marymount graduates in the room have some fondness of that particular location for sure. But there's a lot of deferred maintenance that goes out there. So last year, there was a committee that looked at where can the Highway Patrol in the state of Kansas relocate. We worked pretty hard as a community to make sure that they stay in Salina because it's an important function for the community. They came back after looking at multiple different locations around Salina and said for various different aspects. Some aspects would be well suited to be towards the new jail. The majority of their activity would be well suited out here at K-State Salina because we've got plenty of land, but also we can join forces on some of the services that we offer. So they need dormitories, they need cafeterias, they need all sorts of things that we also need. And so as a way to kind of share resources and reduce costs for the state and others, we can share our facilities, we can share our services so they don't have to hire people to run these things because we already have people who run these sorts of resources for them and co-locate them on our campus. So this session at the state level, this is going to be a very, very important topic that is being discussed for our community here because there are other communities who are vying to try to pull the highway patrol out of Salina to get them located there. So we're working with the highway patrol right now to get that worked through and phased out so we can help secure that for the community of Salina. So as mentioned before, this is what we're mostly known for is our manned aviation right here. Also, we do have an aviation maintenance program. We just, the airport authority just announced that they will be bringing the SkyWest airline partner is opening up a maintenance facility here in Salina. A large part of that is due to the fact that we train aviation maintainers here, but it is an example of another company that is coming to co-locate with us on the Salina Airport Industrial Authority because we have students who can also be employees while they're here in their experience. So we do these things. Our future focus, we know as we look at the aviation industry, and if you are watching transportation in general, we know that there's a lot of activity and a lot of research and development being put into self-driving cars, as well as self-flying aircraft. And so part of our future and part of our goal and what we do on our research mission is help try to figure out how do we safely integrate these type of aircraft into the environment. Now it's going to be a long time before this happens, although there is very good stuff happening right now in this particular area, but before passengers get on a self-flying aircraft, it'll be a while, because society has to catch up to some of the trust and some of the other aspects of it. But this is where industry is going, it's where a lot of the development is going right now, and so we're putting some of our focus in this particular area. So you may see some of our drones. We focus a lot on public safety, helping the local sheriff's department and helping others with some of the public safety needs that we have. But we started this program after the Greensburg tornado, so probably about 15 years ago. There are a lot of ways that uncrewed systems can help during disasters that can greatly benefit and help preserve human life. And so that's really kind of what our focus is how do we use this technology to help address some of the larger needs that can benefit society as a whole.
I just want to mention that I appreciate the term uncrewed systems because it used to be unmanned. And we started asking for a gender neutral way to say that.
Yes.
As the only male in the room, notice that I'm paying attention.
So there's a couple of different types of aircraft. This aircraft here is called a fixed wing aircraft, and it's used for various different systems. This is also an ag aircraft. Ag aviation is a really, really dangerous industry. Because of how you fly, you're flying between electrical lines, it's really, really dangerous. And so we're helping with research too to try to figure out how do we integrate drones and other aircraft into these really kind of dangerous fields that can help be beneficial. So this is an example of a ag spraying drone that we're helping to do research on at the federal government. But then this honestly is not that far off. These types of things, which are 1 or 2 passenger aspects, you can find these in urban environments now as well too. Just like you can find like a driverless car and a driverless taxi in metropolitan areas, you can find these types of aircraft. And so this is where the industry is going. And actually, there's a video here, which I'll show if I can, but this is one of our graduates flight testing a new aircraft from a company called Pivotal, which is essentially trying to develop the first flying car. And so how do we safely integrate all of these various different technologies into the airspace that is carrying a lot of souls on a daily basis and passengers between various different locations? This is one of the major research areas that we're helping the federal government try to figure out. Any questions on that before I move forward on the next topic? Because this is one of our key areas that we're working with. And you may see some of these different aircraft. We're working with the airport authority right now to try to figure out what are some of the new radar systems that we need to be able to help this. The military is doing a lot of training between here in Wichita and at the training grounds just south of the community here of Salina at Crisis City. And so the military is really trying to figure out how do we integrate some of this pilotless technology into some of their operations. And so there's a lot of different research going on for how does this impact various different levels of society right now, and we're right in the middle of it.
This past year has been so disruptive as far as the federal government. I mean, you've mentioned federal government practically in every other sentence. And, it's been so disruptive, at least from the news that I get. How now have you experienced that? Has K-State experienced that? And if so, how?
So Kansas State University as a whole has certainly experienced some
Yeah.
disruption for sure, just because of some of their research areas that they have typically been involved with. Some of their research grants and other aspects have been canceled. And so it's been fairly disruptive for the university. For our campus in particular, we haven't felt as big of an impact just because of the lines of research we're in and the lines of activity that we're focused on happen to be priorities of this particular administration. And so we've been pretty lucky. But as a whole, I think all universities and institutions of higher education have had to try to figure out how we shift some of the activities and the functions that are being done in that particular area. And it's just, it really was a matter of this particular administration shifting some of the priorities of where some of the research dollars go. And so as they've shifted some of that function, some of it's starting to come back. And as they're starting to determine where those dollars are going to be spent. And so it's coming back, and people are starting to resettle back in. But it was disruptive there for a little bit. But it's gotten easier.
Do your students do sporting events, the drones at the sporting events here? Do you know?
So we are starting a drone racing club. The closest thing that we have to athletics on our campus is a flight competition team. And so there are national competitions in that area, and that is where students go out and they compete on, who can do the most precise landing. You do message drops out the window when you're in an aircraft to be able to land, stuff on a particular target and other aspects of stuff that really help students refine their navigational skills. But we are starting a drone racing club. We do have a solar boat canoe, so we're on our engineering side of what we do. There are a couple of other competition teams, but drone racing has become a big thing, and so we are starting that particular competition team. But this is an example of where it can be used for good. So we did help. This is a cargo delivery drone. So it's a little bit bigger than some of the other aircraft that you see. It's about the same size as one of our training aircraft that we train pilots in. But this was used for the first time. We partnered with a local, ag company as well as a community hospital to be able to demonstrate how, in the case of an emergency, you can use a drone to be able to deliver medical supplies when there's a situation in which personnel can't get into that particular location. And so this is part of the public safety aspect of what we do, of how can we use this technology to really further and benefit human society, and to be able to drive public safety initiatives. Because this is really where, beyond just passengers and cargo delivery, this is really where the impact of this type of technology is going to be felt, is in certain disaster scenarios. How do we really kind of help get the need to the people as they need to? So delivering food, delivering water, delivering medical supplies, that's what we're helping to test right now as well too. But again, it's how do we do that within the airspace, because there aren't a lot of rules and regulations right now for how do you navigate in the airspace.
It's, well, I'm thinking of several things, but I see that in the writing it says it's used for a 30-mile trip. Is it pretty limited on the distances it can fly?
So it depends on the aircraft. A lot of these are battery operated, so battery operated aircraft, it really is pretty limited on how far you can fly. 30 miles, there's also regulations about how far away you can be with the aircraft being able to be out of your line of sight. And so there are regulations around that right now. So a lot of it is kind of limited by the regulations, because there's battery operated aircraft, there's gas operated aircraft, but there's also hybrid related aircraft. So there are aircraft that can fly for over 48 hours in that particular mechanism, but those are really kind of military grade aircraft right now. And so we're working on the civilian side for how do we get that technology up to speed. But it's really, really expensive. And that's where some of this investment by the federal government is being, put into these particular types of areas to be able to bring that technology to the point where it is usable in the civilian ways as well too.
What portion of the student body are women?
We have about a 70-30 split, which has grown. Traditional male-dominated fields is what we really focus on, and so we do have a big push to be able to attract females in these particular areas. And you see them mostly in a professional pilot as well as some of our engineering programs. So part of our federal government investment was an investment from the federal government to build this new aerospace educational hub. This will be the new home for our aviation maintenance composites as well as our UAS program. So currently our UAS program is located about a mile down the ramp. So we're bringing them back to campus, and this is a training hub that we got about $30 million from the federal government to build this facility, so we can make sure that we've got the most up-to-date equipment for our students to be able to train on. So groundbreaking happens actually next month on this particular building.
What's UAS?
UAS is uncrewed aircraft systems, so drones is what they're more commonly known by. And when the other area that we're building out right now, because if you think about what is drone, it's really just a flying robot. And so we've also had a lot of conversations with Great Plains and Swans and other manufacturing companies that are moving more into kind of robotic manufacturing, using robots to help drive some of their manufacturing processes. And so we're building out programs related to autonomous systems and robotics, because autonomous systems don't just drive aircraft in the air, they drive all sorts of mechanical functions and operations in modern day factories, as well as transportation services. And so robotics is another key area that we are developing out. One of the programs, I don't think this video will play, but we established last year with Great Plains Scholars. Affordability is one of the key things that is very important to us. If you're coming to one of our programs, for example, professional pilot program, it's very, very expensive to learn how to be a pilot. Some of the other key areas, the cost of higher education is one of the things that we try to help control in the ways that we can. So partnering with key industry partners is a way that we do this. So Great Plains here in town, we have a scholars program with them. And essentially students who go through and are selected for this program come out of their 3-year experience with a bachelor's degree as well as no debt. And so this is particularly focused in students who are in mechanical engineering as well as robotics, our program in robotics. So the way this program works is we have a faculty member who's assigned to this program. It's a selective program, so students have to apply and be selected into this program because it takes a certain amount of grit as well as a certain amount of willingness to be able to work really, really hard. So they come to school for 3 days a week, and then they are embedded in industry for 2 days a week. So they work on the factory floor with an individual at Great Plains. Our faculty member is on the factory floor with them. While they're there in industry, they get paid the same as a worker, so the starting wage as some of the other workers do. And as they increase, their salaries can increase as they're working there. But Great Plains also sponsors their tuition. Because one of the things that they don't want them to have to do is have to take on 2 or 3 day jobs to be able to afford rent, to be able to buy food, to be able to do this other stuff. And so this is one of the ways that we're working with industry partners to be able to make sure that students can come to our campus, not have to work multiple different jobs, can focus on education, but also can come out with very little debt. And so this is one of the reasons why we choose to remain small, is because they can only take so many individuals. We have other industries in the Salina community who are asking to sign on to this particular program, so we'll grow as there's opportunities for students. But we don't want to be a place that students come to and leave with just a lot of debt that they've got to pay off. We want to make sure that they come here and can start life in a very productive way and have experiences here that actually gets them to the workforce and helps them elevate through the workforce more rapidly than what other graduates can do.
So what percent of your student population has some kind of scholarship that's significant?
Probably about 98% of our student population has some type of significant scholarship. And that's due to very generous donors, for sure, but it's also due to a lot of different industry partners as well too. And we also do some things internally to make sure that there are ways that we can help students be able to afford this. So one of the things I didn't talk about is that our campus is, because of our unique history, we are the only institution in the state of Kansas in which students can come and still get a technical certificate, an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, or a master's degree. Typically, there's a separation between 2-year institutions and 4-year institutions in the state. Because of our history, we're able to do all entry points into the careers that we offer, which is incredibly unique. Because of that, we can have differential tuition for students. So if they come in for the first 2 years, there's a different tuition rate than at the last 2 years. So there are various different things that we're doing to try to keep education affordable, leveraging our history as well too. So the last area that we're focused on that I want to talk about a little bit is immersive experiences. So when you're learning to fly and you're learning to do other stuff, simulation is a big part of what we do. Simulation is used in a lot of different careers right now. Nursing uses it quite a bit. It's used in social work to be able to simulate a variety of different environments and other aspects of stuff. So really simulation is how do you prepare students for different types of environments that you're going into. Simulation is really just how do you tell a digital story and present environments to students in which they feel like it's a real live activity. So one of the areas when we did our gap analysis in the state that nobody focuses on right now is simulation. So this is one of the things that came out of our study that we needed to focus on, and as we do with other stuff, we needed to find a business partner who could help us do this. And I don't know how, but lo and behold, we found one in California that was looking to move locations. They were being courted by a couple of different states to relocate to where they were, and the Department of Commerce came to bat with us and presented a pretty attractive offer, and they selected Salina, Kansas as their new location. So we are in the middle of building their facility right now, which will co-locate with students and others on our campus. It's the thing that you see being built out on our campus right now. But this company called Pure Imagination Studios is picking up their company in California and moving the entire company here to Salina campus, to our Salina campus to be able to do that with us. What's kind of impressive about them is that they're storytellers. They're not aviation people, just like me. They're not aviation people, but they know how to tell a really, really great story. And if you're going to build real-world environments for people to train in a simulated space, you've got to be able to know how to nail the story and make it realistic. So this company does quite a few different things. Are you familiar with the Lego movie franchise? Lego movies? How are you familiar with video games, such as there's some that I'm not familiar with some of the ones that they've done, but this younger generation is. They also do a variety of theme park rides. So if you've been to Universal Studios lately, or Disney World, or Disneyland, you will have gone through some of their different attractions that they do. They are storytellers, they are an entertainment company. That's certainly going to be a part of their business while they're here. But the other part that they're really kind of expanding with us over here is how do we bring that storytelling world to other industries? And that's what our new facility is going to be built on here. And so this is a rendering of what our new facility here is supposed to look like, a paper airplane. But inside of this facility, this K Aries building, which they'll co-locate with us, is the Kansas Artificial Intelligence Research and Entertainment Studio. So leveraging artificial intelligence to be able to help us tell stories. So inside of it, we'll have components of artificial intelligence and machine learning, which connects back to our automation and autonomous systems, because that's how do you train the machine to fly where it needs to go and do what it needs to do. Augmented and mixed reality vignettes and simulations, a technology incubation and simulation. Companies who are developing products can come to the center, and in a simulated environment, we'll be able to help them determine how their product is going to behave in the real world. So before they get too far into dumping a lot of money into prototyping or other aspects of stuff, we'll be able to help them navigate. And then the Central Immersive Technology Hub is really how do we help train public safety individuals in simulated environments. So right now you might see different commercials or other aspects of stuff where people put on these goggles and the AR/VR goggles. A lot of public safety, like our highway patrol partners, police operators, and other aspects of stuff buy these packaged different systems that they use once. And they spend a lot of money on these systems because there's only so many scenarios that come with those goggles as they're doing trainings. There'll be a function of this facility in which we will just rapidly create different training scenarios, whether it's just a common speeding stop for highway patrol, to how do you navigate the state fair as a highway patrolman, to how do you protect the governor as she's moving through different aspects of stuff. We'll just create this catalog of training scenarios that people can come and get training from this facility. They don't have to continue to spend money on updating the technology to train the public safety individuals. We'll do that for them. They just have to come, bring their people to Salina, spend a week here with us in the community, pay for hotel rooms, do other aspects of the community that helps our community, and we'll keep them trained up on the particular scenarios that they need. So working with our partners for that, it's another example of how we're leveraging the public safety aspect of what we do to help better scenario, and really kind of to make better use of public resources. Part of that training scenario, here's just some internal stuff. There will be an auditorium that we can be able to provide holograms to people, so bring in different experts across different fields that can't be here with us in person. We'll be able to kind of beam them in for other different ways to explain that, but very Star Trek-ish types of stuff, is that you can bring people in to make them feel like they're really kind of here in the room with you, and you not even know that it's there. So this will be another type of training in how we're kind of elevating and reinventing education, as well too as how do we leverage this technology to be able to make sure our students have access to the most premier experts that there are in the world.
Is the word spotting used?
Is the word, yes, yes. Multiple different ways. So there are some videos that I can go in, but those are just some examples of how we're kind of pushing forward, trying to be really kind of, and it tied to our mission of how do we become the most technologically, the technically progressive institution for developing talent in these areas that we do. It's really kind of how do we leverage technology. And our industry partners like to say we're really kind of helping them build the future. We have to train students for what the realistic world is that they are going out into right now, but we all know in 10 years it's going to look completely different once AI and other aspects of stuff get in there. So our job is also to help prepare them for that, and what better to help way to help prepare them to help invent the future that they're going into as well too. So we're constantly looking for other business partners who want to join us on campus. We've got locations separated out, a new building that we can build for others who want to co-locate with us, but we're constantly looking for who can we recruit back to the community to be able to help us, our students as well as the community of Salina to build out our workforce here as well too.
It sounds like if we want to stay longer, she can play some videos for us.
I do, yeah, there's a couple of different things that I can play, I just didn't want it to mess up the presentation.
Sure, thank you.
Let's see. This one might open, this is the flying car one. Let's see if it opens. Don't think the way that they have the monitor set up that is going to show.
If you send me that as an MP3 or whatever, MP4, I can slip it into the video.
So that's one of our alumni test piloting this aircraft for this company. And really all that it takes to fly it is just a joystick. So if you, I mean, that's all it is. You don't have to have a pilot's license, you don't have to have anything else. Right now, battery life on that, it said, was probably about 20 minutes to be able to do it. So they're working on some of that research and development aspect of stuff, but and it is where the industry is going. A lot of the research and development right now is put into these types of activities here. So that one. But this other one, I don't think it's going to open. But I will send it and I'll send along the links as well too for you to be able to look to it. This other one kind of highlights what's coming in the K-Area Center. Again, we'll be training students on artificial intelligence, machine learning, game programming. They can go to entertainment as well too, so if they want to go work in theme parks and other aspects of stuff. But really kind of what they'll be learning is about how do we create these immersive environments for the different companies to be able to train their employees. So a lot of manufacturing companies that we're working with right now want to be able to train their employees before they get out into the field of how do you do certain processes on the factory line. So we can create different scenarios for them about here's what it's going to look like, here's the different looks and feels, the actions you need to take as you're working on some of the factory equipment. So before they get actually on the factory floor, they've had a lot of different experience and run through various different simulated scenarios of this is what could happen as you're working on the floor, and here's how you maneuver and adjust to be able to deal with some of these complicated procedures that can happen. So we've got a lot of different contracts working with faculty, or working with different companies right now to be able to create training scenarios and environments for them.
I just want to ask you, in your ascent to the head of K-State Salina, how did it feel? I mean, did you spend days going, what am I doing as an aviation dean, you know?
Everything.
And it's male dominated and aviation, which you didn't have any training in, and I'm just interested in hearing that, about that just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, every day is that, but when you know, any industry, I think when it comes down to it, it's about people. And I think if you find anything that you're passionate about or other aspects of stuff, you don't necessarily have to have all of the technical expertise to be able to do it, but you have to be willing to listen to individuals who do, and you have to be willing to drop your ego. And that's kind of hard, but I think for us, I know that I'm surrounded by some of the smartest individuals, the most intelligent individuals who are helping to drive this industry, who are very, very well skilled at what they do. They're experts at what they do. They know what needs to be done. They know what's in the betterment of how do we train students for these areas. My job really is going out to get them the resources so they can do their job the best that they can. I don't have to be the expert. They're the experts. I just get to help them do their job better. And I think that's where some of the people side of my background comes into play. The library science and being able to organize information in ways that make sense help us well too. But you don't have to be the expert in the fields. You just have to know how to listen and how to strategize and you know, work with others externally to be able to get the resources that are necessary. But no, I feel out of place every single day.
But you're not.
Speaking of being a people person, what about students when they're so young and they're transitioning from this to this and maybe struggle with some emotional or physical issues? How do you help those? How do you refer those? What do you refer them to if they're open to getting the help?
Yeah, so the last 3 years, really kind of post-COVID, it's been a different world as well as student support is needed. So we've had to increase our amount of support that's available for students, increase staffing, because there's a good percentage of students who just don't know how to cope with just daily life stresses that we would take for granted. And so we have a very qualified staff on campus that helps us with helping students, and their entire role is just how do we help them navigate the real world? How do we help them when their parents aren't right beside them, when their parents aren't the ones? And we do as much work with parents as we do with students, because there are different laws that we can't work with parents once they get into the collegiate environment. So helping parents let go is part of our role as well too. But we have a good set of resources, not just within our campus, within the university, but we also have a lot of different partnerships within the community. Because of the various nature of our student body, there are a lot of different needs. And so we have a good network of resources within the community that we will provide the resources for the students, and we also tend to pay for at least 1 or 2 visits as necessary or needed for students. So they don't have to worry about that. We're talking about mental health, and we're just talking about general life skills as well too. How do you do laundry? How do you talk on the phone? How do you send an email? I mean, it's a completely, they grew up in a completely different world that they don't know how to do some of the things that the professional world expects them to do.
Do you go to the high schools and like try to explain the program to get kids interested, or did they come to you?
Both, and in fact, we're at Salina Technology Days today, demonstrating what our high schools are. So we do go out to various different high schools, for sure. The thing about our programs is that, while people know they want to do it, some of our programs are hard to describe. Very, very good careers and high-paying careers that we train students for, but you have to know what it is. Knowing about aircraft and then you want to be a pilot and they want to maintain aircraft is pretty easy. Some of these other careers we train for, you've really got to explain it to folks. So we do spend a lot of time, really from 6th, 7th, 8th grade is where we start, all the way up. Part of what Pure Imagination is bringing with them as well too is a simulated experience for grade school and middle school all the way up to high school. We'll have a simulated type of attraction, like a theme park attraction on campus that helps guide them through here's the different career paths and other aspects that you can expect if you come to campus, if you come join us for your educational journey on our campus.
think we're done. Thank you very much.
Again.